The check engine light had been mocking me for the last 10 miles when my truck finally gave up, sputtering to a stop just 2 blocks from Uncle Mike's auto shop. Maybe it was luck. Maybe it was fate. Either way, it changed everything. I'd always been close to Uncle Mike. After my parents died in the crash when I was 12, he stepped in, taught me everything about cars, about life. He even let me work at his shop through college. Now, at 32, I ran my own construction company, but I still brought all my vehicles to him. The inheritance from my parents would finally be released on my next birthday, just 3 months away. 20 years in a trust, growing to nearly $8 million. Sarah, my fiancée of 11 months, kept joking that we could have a dream wedding then. But I'd marry you if you were broke, she'd always add, kissing me. I wiped the sweat from my face as I walked toward the shop. August in Phoenix was merciless. The shop's front office looked empty, but I heard voices coming from the garage. I headed around back, using the side entrance like family always did. That's when I heard her laugh. Sarah's laugh was distinctive, a kind of musical giggle that had first attracted me to her at the coffee shop where we met. But she was supposed to be in Boston, presenting her research at an education conference. I'd even dropped her at the airport yesterday. I stopped at the partially open door. It's perfect timing, Uncle Mike was saying. The trust releases on his birthday, November 15th. And you're sure about the amount? Sarah's voice now, all business. Not a trace of the warmth I was used to. 7.8 million. Papers rustled. The old fool who set it up insisted on letting it grow until he was 33. Some nonsense about maturity. That old fool was my father, I whispered to myself, my hands clenching. Once he signs over control, Uncle Mike continued, we transfer everything offshore. By the time he realizes, we'll be gone. What about the wedding? A third voice, female, vaguely familiar. The perfect distraction, Sarah said. While everyone's celebrating, the transfers will go through. Mike handles the paperwork since he's the trust's co-executor, and by Monday morning. Boom, Uncle Mike laughed. 3 million for me is arranged, 3 for you and your sister, and we leave Danny boy crying into his cheap beer. My vision blurred. Sarah's sister. That's who the third voice belonged to, Katie. She'd been the one who introduced us at that coffee shop. It had all been planned. He's such an easy mark. Sarah's voice dripped with contempt. So trusting. So eager to believe in love after losing his parents. All those stories about wanting a family of our own. That's enough. Uncle Mike's tone sharpened. We don't need the details. Sorry, but Sarah didn't sound sorry at all. It's just, do you know how hard it is? Playing the devoted teacher, pretending his construction worker stories are interesting. Thank God it's almost over. I must have made a sound, a breath, a step, something, because they suddenly went quiet. Did you hear something? Katie asked. I backed away from the door, my mind racing. Down the alley, my phone was still in my broken-down truck. Along with the engagement ring, I planned to surprise Sarah with when she got back from her conference. A 3-carat diamond that had belonged to my mother. Check outside, Uncle Mike ordered. I moved faster, ducking behind a dumpster as footsteps approached the door. My heart pounded so hard I was sure they'd hear it. Nothing. Katie's voice faded as she went back inside. Just that piece of jump truck broken down up the street. My truck. They'd see it eventually and realize I was nearby. More voices from inside, but I wasn't listening anymore. 20 years of trust in Uncle Mike crumbled like desert dust. 11 months of loving Sarah burned away in the Arizona heat. I pulled out my phone and dialed the one person I could trust. Martinez, my foreman, answered on the first ring. Joey, I need you to pick me up. Now, and bring your cousin. Your uncle's shop. Yeah, how'd you know? GPS tracking on the company truck you're driving, boss. Been watching it sit there for 10 minutes. Problem? I looked at the open garage door where the people I trusted most in the world were plotting to steal everything I had. Big problem. And bring Carlos' camera, the good one he uses for job site documentation. 10 minutes. Joey paused. You okay, boss? No. I watched as Sarah came to the door, still beautiful in her summer dress, still wearing my grandmother's promise ring. But I will be. I stayed hidden until Joey's pickup pulled up, nice and casual, like he was just another customer. I slipped around the building and jumped in. Drive, I said, circle the block. I need pictures of every car in that lot. Carlos started shooting from the back seat. That your uncle's Porsche? The new one? Yeah. Bought it cash 3 months ago, right after Sarah and I got engaged. The pieces were falling into place now. And the Lexus? Sarah's sister's car. The same sister who'd accidentally run into us at that coffee shop. Get the plates. Joey kept driving, calm as always. Want to tell us what's going on? I filled them in quickly. Joey, who'd worked with me since I started the company 5 years ago, whistled low. Man, that's cold. What's the play? First, we document everything. Then, I pulled out my phone again, scrolling through contacts. Remember that private investigator who helped us with the lumber theft last year? Rodriguez? Yeah, she's good. Call her. I want to know everywhere Sarah's been this week. Definitely not Boston. And your uncle? I thought of all the summers I'd spent in his garage, learning about engines while he told me stories about my dad. All lies, probably. Everything. Bank records, phone logs, offshore accounts. If he's been planning this, there's a trail. And then, Joey caught my eye in the rearview mirror. Then we play along. A plan was forming. Let them think they're winning. Until November 15th. Your birthday, Joey nodded. When the trust pays out. Exactly. I watched as we passed the shop again. Sarah was outside now, phone to her ear, probably crafting another lie about her conference. They want to play games. Fine, but they forgot something important. What's that, boss? I thought of all the construction projects I managed, all the complex problems I'd solved. I might work with my hands, but I learned strategy from the best. The uncle who was about to learn he wasn't the only one who could play the long game. They forgot that trust goes both ways. I pulled out my mother's ring, the one I'd planned to give Sarah. And once it's broken, there's no fixing it. Rodriguez worked fast. Within 48 hours, she had a complete report. I sat in her office, looking at surveillance photos spread across her desk. Your fiancée wasn't in Boston, Rodriguez said, tapping a photo. She was in the Cayman Islands with your uncle, meeting with banks. The photo showed Sarah and Uncle Mike entering an offshore bank, both wearing business attire. The timestamp was from 2 days ago, right when Sarah was supposedly giving her teaching presentation. There's more, Rodriguez continued. Your uncle's been moving money. Small amounts, nothing suspicious on their own. But over the last year, she handed me a spreadsheet. Almost $800,000 transferred to various accounts. Since right before I met Sarah. Exactly. And here's the interesting part. Katie, Sarah's sister, she's not really her sister. They worked together before, running similar schemes in Florida and Texas. My hands clenched around the papers. Previous targets. 2. Both men with large inheritances coming. Both engaged to Sarah, or Amanda, as she was known then. Both left broke. I thought of all Sarah's perfect qualities, her love of classic cars, which connected her to Uncle Mike, her dream of having a big family, which she knew I wanted after losing my parents, her job teaching underprivileged kids, which appealed to my desire to help others. All carefully crafted lies. The good news, Rodriguez said, is they got sloppy this time. Got too confident. We have recordings from the shop, banking records, even their travel documents. More than enough for fraud charges. No, I stood up, a plan crystallizing. Not yet. I want them to think they're winning. Rodriguez raised an eyebrow. Dangerous game. They played me for 11 months. I can play them for 3. That night, Sarah called from her conference. The presentations went amazing. She gushed. I wish you could have been here. I looked at the photo of her in the Caymans, forcing warmth into my voice. Tell me all about it. She spun an elaborate tale about fictional educators and imaginary workshops. I made appropriate noises of interest, all while Joey and Carlos set up surveillance equipment in my house. I was thinking, I said when she finished, maybe we should move the wedding up. Before my birthday. A pause. Tiny but noticeable. But honey, the trust. We'd have so much more to work with after. I don't care about the money. I just want to start our life together. Another pause. I could almost hear her scrambling to adjust her plan. Let me talk to the wedding planner, she said finally, see what's possible. After hanging up, I turned to Joey. Got all that? He nodded, adjusting the recording equipment. Every word. Man, she's good. Almost believed her myself. That's how they succeed. I stared at the engagement photos on my wall, all perfectly staged happiness. Question is, how good are they at spotting a con? The next few weeks were a masterclass in deception. I played the eager fiancé, completely bought into Sarah's lies. I even asked Uncle Mike to help manage the trust transition, watching him try to hide his smirk. Meanwhile, Rodriguez tracked every move they made. More meetings in the Caymans, phone calls to hidden accounts, a small house purchased in Costa Rica under a false name. They're getting nervous, Rodriguez reported. Making mistakes. Your uncle sold his shop's lease yesterday. Getting ready to run. And Sarah's been checking flight schedules. Multiple destinations, all leaving the day after your birthday. I nodded, then made a call I'd been planning for weeks. Federal Banking Commission. A crisp voice answered. This is Daniel Mitchell. I'd like to report a suspected fraud scheme. The pieces were falling into place, but the hardest part was yet to come. Sarah returned from her conference full of stories and affection. Every touch, every kiss, every loving look, all fake. At night, I listened to the recordings Rodriguez had made. Sarah laughing with Katie about how easy I was to fool. Uncle Mike bragging about using my parents' death to manipulate me. It should have hurt more. Maybe I was just numb. 3 weeks to the wedding. Sarah exclaimed over dinner. And then your birthday right after. So much to celebrate. I reached across the table, took her hand. I was thinking, maybe we should put the trust in both our names. Right away, start our marriage with total honesty. Her eyes lit up, though she tried to hide it. Oh honey, we don't have to. I insist. I squeezed her hand. Uncle Mike already has the paperwork ready. Later that night, I heard her on the phone with Katie. It's happening. The idiot's practically giving us the money. Get everything ready. I sat in my dark office, listening through the surveillance equipment and smiled. Sometimes the best revenge is letting your enemies think they've won. The next morning, I met Uncle Mike at his shop. The place was already half-packed, though he claimed he was just reorganizing. About the trust, he said, trying to sound casual. I've got all the transfer papers ready. We can do it right after the wedding. Actually, I pulled out a document folder. I'd like to do it now. Get all the business stuff out of the way so we can focus on celebrating. His eyes widened slightly. Now? Unless there's a problem. No, no problem. He grabbed a pen. Just need your signature here. And here. I signed with a flourish, watching him try to contain his excitement. There, he said, tucking the papers away. All set for the transfer on your birthday. You won't regret this, Danny. Oh, I know I won't. That night, Sarah couldn't stop smiling. She even suggested we start looking at houses in the Caribbean. For our honeymoon, I asked innocently. Or maybe longer. 1 week until the wedding. 1 week until my birthday. 1 week until they learned what it really meant to trust the wrong person. I picked up my phone and dialed Rodriguez. Everything's ready, she said before I could ask. FBI's just waiting for your signal. I looked at the latest surveillance photo on my desk. Sarah, KT, and Uncle Mike celebrating in a private room at La Scala, toasting their success with expensive champagne. Let them enjoy their last few days of freedom, I said. The party's just getting started. The wedding was set for Saturday. My birthday and the trust transfer would be Monday. By Wednesday, according to the tickets Rodriguez had tracked, Sarah and her crew would be on a plane to Costa Rica. Except they wouldn't make that flight. I stood in front of the mirror, adjusting my tuxedo. The church was filled with guests, most of them real on my side, mostly fake on Sarah's. Katie had created an impressive array of hired actors to fill the bride's section. Ready, boss? Joey stood in the doorway, also in a tuxedo. My best man. The only person besides Rodriguez who knew the full plan. Born ready. I checked my watch. Everyone in position. FBI's got plainclothes agents scattered throughout. Rodriguez is running surveillance from the van, and your special guest. Arrived safely. In the back row. Dark suit, red tie. Just like you asked. I smiled. Thomas Green, Sarah's last victim from Florida, had been very interested in helping when Rodriguez contacted him, especially after we explained our plan. The wedding march began. I took my place at the altar, watching Sarah walk down the aisle. She was beautiful in white, playing her part perfectly, even had tears in her eyes. Uncle Mike sat in the front row, beaming with fake pride. He'd insisted on walking Sarah down the aisle, claiming it would mean so much to him. Really, he just wanted to keep an eye on his investment. The ceremony began. I spoke my lines, made my promises. Sarah did the same, her voice trembling with what guests would assume was emotion. I knew better. It was anticipation. If anyone knows any reason why these two should not be joined in matrimony, the priest intoned, "Speak now or forever hold your peace." "I have a reason," a voice called from the back. Sarah froze. I felt her hand tremble in mine as Thomas Green stood up. "Amanda," he said, using Sarah's old name, "I believe you're already married." To me. The church erupted in whispers. Sarah's face went white. I don't know what you're talking about," she stammered. "Really?" Thomas walked forward, pulling out papers. "Because these marriage certificates from Florida say otherwise. Along with these bank records showing how you and Catherine there emptied my accounts right after." Katie jumped up. "We need to go." "Nobody's going anywhere," Rodriguez announced, standing up in her bridesmaid's dress. FBI agents throughout the church stood, blocking the exits. Uncle Mike tried to run. Joey and Carlos caught him before he made it 2 steps. "Daniel." Sarah turned to me, eyes wide and pleading. "Baby, I can explain." "Like you explained where you really were during your conference." I pulled out my phone and played a recording of her laughing about my dead parents. "Or maybe explain these offshore accounts you opened with my uncle." He knew. I knew the moment I heard you in the shop that day, heard you planning to steal my inheritance, laughing about how easy it was to fool the grieving orphan." The FBI moved in, handcuffs ready. "Wait," Uncle Mike shouted. "Danny, please, I raised you." "No," I faced him coldly. "You used me, used my parents' death, their memory, all for money." Rodriguez stepped forward, badge out. "Sarah James, also known as Amanda Green, you're under arrest for fraud, conspiracy, and bigamy." "Catherine Nils, Michael Mitchell, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit fraud and money laundering." I watched as they were led away. Sarah looked back once, mask finally cracking. "We could have been happy," she said, "if you'd just been stupid enough to trust us." "That's your mistake." I removed my bow tie. "You thought because I work with my hands, I must be stupid. Forgot that running a construction company takes brains, strategy, planning." "The trust," Uncle Mike suddenly remembered. "You signed it over." "Check those papers again." I smiled. "Really read them this time. You were so excited to get my signature, you didn't notice they were federal witness statements, detailing every part of your scheme." The guests, those who were real, were standing in shock. I turned to address them. "Sorry for the unusual entertainment. Drinks are on me at the reception," which, ironically, is being held at the federal courthouse. Later, at that courthouse, Rodriguez handed me the final report. All accounts frozen. The Costa Rica property seized. We even recovered most of the money your uncle embezzled from the shop. She paused. "The trust is safe. All 7.8 million. "Good." I took off my wedding ring. "Make sure Thomas gets back his money first, then whatever other victims they scammed." "What about you?" After all this, I thought about the past 3 months, the act I put on, the pain of facing Sarah every day, knowing she was lying. I'm good. Because today, I honored my parents' memory, protected what they left me. I handed Rodriguez the ring, and showed them that sometimes, trust isn't about having faith. It's about being smart enough to know when to lose it. Speaking of smart, Joey joined us. "What about the shop?" I pulled out my phone and showed him the deed. "Bought it at auction this morning. Figured it's time to expand the construction company. Add a repair division." "Full circle," Rodriguez noted. "Yeah." I looked at the courthouse where Sarah and her crew were being processed. Except this time, everything will be built on truth. Outside, the Arizona sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of red and gold. My parents had loved sunsets, used to say they were reminders that even the darkest days have beautiful endings. They were right. Even this day, my almost wedding, the end of a con, the break of a lifetime of trust, had its own kind of beauty. Because sometimes the most beautiful thing of all is simply the truth.